2,000 years ago, a mysterious school of thought called Hermeticism claimed to map out the hidden structure of reality. They used a symbolic figure of Hermes Trismegistus to tell the stories in their lessons. In an ancient text, Hermes is engaging in a dialogue with his student, Asclepius, that sets up a psychological metaphor that will completely change how you view the mind and soul. Hermes says to Asclepius,
"Everything that is moved by something, and within something, is it not?
Assuredly.
And must not the medium in which it is moved be greater than the moved?
It must.
Furthermore, that in which it is moved in must be of a completely different nature.
It must completely."
Let's translate the words of Hermes into a simple example in the physical realm. A swimmer is moving through a pool of water. The swimmer is kicking their legs and pulling their arms, but the force that moves the swimmer is the resistance of the water pushing back against their body, not the movement of the swimmer's body alone. The medium of the water is greater than the body surrounding it, allowing it space to express movement. So in essence, the swimmer is the moved. The force of the resistance against the swimmer is that which is doing the moving, and the water is the medium, that in which it is moved. Without the water, there is no force to create movement, and importantly, there is nothing to move through. Hermes is describing the physical, subtle and causal states that create all of reality. The physical realm is familiar to us all. It is everything you can see, touch or interact with. The force that moves is the subtle state. This is the internal experience that animates all living things, or in simple terms, it is the mind, emotions and thoughts. The causal state is the water. It is the medium of the universe that allows all expression. It fully contains both the subtle and physical states. This gives a clear image of how these three states overlap each other, with a symbiotic but also hierarchical nature. But to properly demonstrate their interactions, Hermes offers up more insight that's found in the night sky.
The roaming planets are moved by the fixed stars from the contrary of their movement. The star constellations, do they move, or are they at rest, Asclepius?
They move, thrice greatest one. They revolve around the same fixed point, which is our world down here.
Yes, but revolution around the same stops beyond the same.
Hermes proposed that by looking up into space, we can only see that the planets are roaming the sky because the stars behind them are fixed. The constellations move the planets because of the relative movement of the planets against them. Asclepius claims that the stars revolve around the world, creating the day and the night, but Hermes corrects him. The stars only seem to move because of our point of view on Earth. Remove the movement of the Earth and the stars would appear to be static, while the planets continue to roam. In this case, the expanse of space is the causal state, the formless empty void in which everything is expressed. It is the blank canvas that contains all physical and subtle phenomena. The subtle state is of the mind, imagination and emotion. Everything internal resides in this state. The constellations and planets are the two layers within the subtle. The fixed constellations of the stars represent personality qualities and beliefs that define who we are. They create the movement of the planets, which represent thoughts and emotions. The movement of the fixed and roaming bodies expressed in the blank canvas, called the causal state, exerts a force on the earth, which represents your experience and own actions in the physical state. Asclepius, the student, has not yet learned how to access the causal state, and so does not see that his actions in the world come from something higher up, hence the confusion of the universe revolving around the earth. You can experience this chain of existence by closing your eyes and clearing your thoughts best you can. The void that appears, the absence of thought and senses, is the causal. Then think of a time you felt excitement or anticipation. Live it in your mind as if it was happening right now. As you do this, you will feel your heart rate, a change in posture, and a tense wave flush over your body. These physiological signals make you want to get up and experience something exciting, or maybe it makes you feel some sort of motivation. These feelings may well dictate what you do next. A thought arises, the thought produces a feeling, the feeling produces physiological changes, and that dictates what you actually do next. Or in simple terms, as above, so below. The mental constructs that populate the causal produce the thoughts and beliefs. The process of waking up in a spiritual sense is to realise, by accessing the causal state, you have the potential to shape and rearrange these constructs. So you have different thoughts, and you can therefore recreate yourself and how you act in the physical state. When you identify as being only your thoughts or emotions, you see the world only through them. The moment you can occupy the causal, personalities and thoughts become objects you observe, rather than the lens you're forced to look out of. An object can be examined, questioned and changed. To be the architect of your own reality is a skill that takes practice, but is far from impossible, and starts by looking inward. Try to clear your mind for just a moment, so that you experience nothingness. From here, watch what comes to you. See what thoughts seemingly pop out of nowhere. Let them roam your mind like the planets in the solar system, and watch how they are exerting force on your physical form, making you feel certain emotions. Do not judge these thoughts. Let them express themselves in full and embrace them. This will be an observation of the subtle state, pointing out your thoughts and emotions and how they control your actions. The next step is to look deeper into where these thoughts originate. By focusing on one part of the thought or the idea that is wandering the subtle realm, you may come across one of these constellations in your mind, and when you do, try to speak to it. This is a part of yourself, and these conversations will turn you into something greater than you ever imagined.